Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here with a holiday layout that I created for the COAPA Cut files, 20 Days of Christmas. Today's theme is Make It Sparkle. So I'll be creating a layout featuring some photos of the kids walking around the neighborhood looking at Christmas lights. For today's page design, I will be using the Festive Film Strips cut file. I've cut 2 of these at about 8.5 inches high using my Cricut. I've also gathered a few supplies from Crepe Paper and Vicki Bouton's Evergreen and Holly collection. I'm going to start with this snowflake background, and I'm going to build some pattern paper layers over the top. I have a larger photo that I want to frame, and I'll place the smaller ones off to the side in the film strip cuts. These photos were taken at night with an older phone camera, then pulled off of Facebook, so I had to do a little bit of editing to get them to the point where you could see the faces. Often, photos that are uploaded to social media are compressed, and they'll be grainy when you download them. There are programs out there that can restore the photos or remove the noise, but when you can, I suggest that you keep the original photo stored somewhere else other than social media. I think that's why these film strips appealed to me. The smaller photos can still be seen on the layout, but you're not going to be able to detect the graininess in the photo like you would on a larger one. Now, I've pulled some pattern papers from the 6x8 paper pad to place behind my photo. I like using smaller papers like this when I create layers because I don't have to cut down a 12x12 sheet. I selected some patterns that would speak to the Christmas lights theme, the snowy night they walked through, and I'm bringing in some bits of green and red, which I'll be adding to the frames in the holly cutouts. I am playing around a little bit with those smaller photos in the film strip frames. I only have 3 of these, and I want to space them so that I can add some pattern paper or die cuts in the blank spaces. I like having this one photo in the center frame, but I noticed that one of the kids' faces is going to be cut out. Now, unfortunately, that photo did cut off most of her head anyway, and she is in a couple of the other photos, so I think I'm just going to place this here with just the 3 little faces. I'm going to adhere these elements in place, and then I'll start adding the embellishments. Off camera, I added a little bit of stitching to the background pieces, and I adhered them in place. I also roughed up the edges a bit to match the torn edge that I added. Before I put this frame together, I want to distress it a bit, and I'm going to do that with a sanding block. This is a white core cardstock, so as I sand the edges, the white core will show through. I like the look of the white because it looks a little bit like snow along the edges. As you can see, I did fill in those holly leaves and the berries with some patterned paper. I just traced the pieces with a pencil, cut them out, and glued them in place. The second piece I have here is going to be the back piece. I am going to add some green pattern paper behind those blank areas, and I'll fill those in with some stickers or phrases. I have already cut 2 of these pattern pieces down to size, and I'm just going to glue them in place. And then I'll trace the area for the smaller piece, cut it down, and glue it onto the frame. Now, if you wanted to, you could use the contour feature in Cricut to cut all of these bits and pieces out, but I chose to just do it by hand today. To bring in a little dimension to this film strip, I'm going to add some foam tape in between the 2 layers. You could also turn these frames into little shaker pieces if you wanted to, and I think that would be super cute on the page. I'm just using some skinny foam tape, and I'm adding it to the back of the top layer, and then I'm just going to adhere these 2 together. Now I can place all the photos down onto the page, and I'll start adding my embellishments. I'm going to start at the top of the page and add some little houses. These have windows in them that can pop out, but I wanted to leave them in place so that the background paper didn't show through. In front of those, I'm going to add a border of Christmas lights to represent the Christmas lights they walked around the neighborhood to see. To add to the holly on the film strip frames, I'm going to be placing die cuts in 3 areas of the layout. This is going to help create a visual triangle of images and frame all of the elements there in the center of the page. I'm also going to pop this little poinsettia and holly behind the corner of the main photo. You're not going to see much of this die cut, but it does help to bring focus to this larger photo, and it adds another layer to the page. For the title, I'm going to use this larger cardstock sticker that says Holiday Cheer. This brings in some of the red and black I have behind the photo to the base of the page. Now I want to add a few icons that represent the items that are in the photos. They are hard to see, but there were some large ornaments, a blow-up reindeer, and a couple of snowman decorations. I'm going to add these die cuts over the film strip and create a few little clusters of embellishments here on my page. Now, since my journaling is going to be hidden like it usually is, I want to make sure that I add more phrases to this page so that people know what it's all about. I'm going to add this one here that says, "Oh, what fun." The one at the top here is going to say, "Twinkle lights make me happy." I'm just going to place this here at the top and overlap the photo a bit. Under the title, I'm going to place a puffy sticker that says, "No such thing as too many twinkle lights," which I think all of these kids would agree to. At this point, I do need to add a little bit of journaling, and I'm going to finish that up, and then I'll show you the completed layout. Off camera, I added a few acrylic dots to the page, and I attached my journaling pocket to the back. I have a collection of pocket dies that I like to use to make these pockets, and I just attach them behind my photos or the back of my pages with double-sided tape. Inside the pocket, I have a card with a tab at the top. I use top-loading page protectors, so this is going to be really easy to pull out and read when people are looking through the album. Now I'm going to share a few close-up photos with you of this layout so that you can see a few more details. This page records a memory of the kids walking through the neighborhood to look at Christmas lights, and even though some of the photos were not the best quality, I was able to tuck them inside this festive frame cut and record those memories. If you enjoy pinning photos to inspiration boards, I have added still shots of this layout to my website for you to use. Don't forget that COAPA Cut Files will be releasing new files during their 20 days of December, and you can also enjoy savings on some of the files in the shop. In the description below, I have added a link to the file I used today, along with a list of supplies and a link to the COAPA Cut File shop. I hope that today's project inspired you to create something new. If you have any questions about this project or the supplies I used, feel free to leave me a comment. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.